Hey everyone, and welcome to this deep dive. If you're here with us today, you probably feel drawn to teaching meditation.
Yeah,
Like you really want to share this practice with others,
right.
help them find some inner peace, which is amazing.
Yeah, it really
That
is.
speaks to your compassion, your
Yeah.
dedication.
hmm
But have you ever thought that even those amazing desires, they can sometimes become attachments,
Oh, yeah.
like little chains that can
Mhm.
maybe even hold us back from really living our purpose. Today, we're exploring exactly that, how letting go of that teacher identity can actually make your connection
Sure.
deeper to your own practice. And then you can serve others more authentically.
Yeah, and more powerfully, too.
Exactly.
It's interesting how this idea has been around for so long and in so many different
Like
traditions.
a universal truth, right?
Yeah, like it's a universal truth.
We get so attached to an identity, even something as positive as meditation teacher. It can become like a kind of bondage.
Uh,
Okay, so let's unpack this a little bit. We have some really great source material to help us. Affirmations. We have parts of this modern text called the Sutra of No Self.
Okay.
Even a practical guide to letting go of attachments. It's like a treasure chest of wisdom, all about getting free from these limiting beliefs.
And that freedom, that liberation is the key here. If we look at like the ultimate goal of Vipassana, for example,
Yeah.
it's all about freedom. Getting free from suffering from the illusion of a separate self.
Right.
And what all these sources are saying is that if you're holding on to that teacher identity, you might actually be blocking yourself
Mm.
from really experiencing that full freedom.
Wow, that is something to think about. So how can we even start to see these attachments? Because one of the sources said, if you need acceptance in a specific tradition, like if you need validation from a group of meditators,
hmm
that could be a sign. Have you ever noticed that kind of thing in your own journey?
Oh, absolutely. It's subtle, but it's definitely there. That wanting to be seen as a teacher, to have
Mhm.
that title, to feel like you belong. Right. It comes from this fear, like this fear of not being enough if you don't have that role. It's like, well, if I'm not the teacher, then who am I?
I can relate to that. And it makes me think of that line from the Sutra of No Self that says, I am not defined by roles, nor undone by labels.
That's a good one.
It's like our true essence.
Yeah,
It goes way beyond any title
right.
or identity.
Exactly. And the Sutra of No Self, it really drives that point home. And it was written by like a modern spiritual teacher, but in the style of those old Buddhist texts.
Okay.
And it's not about like rejecting the actual teaching. It's more about a shift
Yeah.
in how we see it. Like recognizing that teaching isn't the purpose itself, but more like an action that comes from a deeper place of being. Presence is purpose. That's like a key message that I kept seeing in these sources.
So instead of trying so hard to be a teacher, we're being asked to cultivate a sense of presence
Yeah.
and let the teaching come from that.
Exactly. It's not about doing, it's about being.
Okay.
The sutra puts it really well. It says, be not the guide, but the light that illuminates the way.
Wow. So we're not leading, we're just shining our light
Right.
and letting others find their own path. I'm starting to see how holding on to that teacher persona
Mm-hmm.
can actually create a wall between us and the people we're trying to help.
Oh, for sure. It's like putting on a mask, a performance, instead of a real connection. You know that saying, those who can't do teach?
Yeah.
I think when we're so attached to being the teacher, there's this idea that we've got it all figured out, that we're somehow above our students. And that just creates a disconnect, a hierarchy that can really block learning and growth.
Yeah. There's this affirmation that really got to me. It says, I serve without attachment. My presence is enough. It's like this powerful reminder that we don't need a title or role to make a difference. Our presence itself is a gift.
And when we come from that place of not being attached,
Uh-huh.
like not needing anything back, not needing to be seen as a teacher, that's when what we do becomes so much more powerful.
Okay.
Think of it like giving a gift. If you give a gift with strings attached, it's not the same as offering it freely from the heart.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
So how do we start untangling ourselves from these attachments?
Yeah.
Our sources talked about some practical steps,
Yeah.
like practicing non-identification
Right.
and cultivating equanimity during meditation.
Those are really important. Non-identification is about recognizing that. Those thoughts and feelings of attachment that need to be seen, the fear of not being enough, they're not who you are. They're just things that pop up in your mind and then they go away.
So instead of getting all caught up in those thoughts and identifying with them, we can learn to watch them with a sense of detachment.
Like watching clouds float by.
Yeah. And then cultivating equanimity in meditation.
Yeah.
That's about finding that stillness inside, that unshakable peace. That stays even when there's a storm of thoughts and emotions. So it's not about reacting, to those feelings of attachment. It's about learning to just be with them, see them without judging, without getting swept away. It's like training our mind to just observe
Yeah.
and not react.
Exactly. And the more you practice this on and off the cushion, the less power those attachments have. You start to loosen their grip. And that opens up space for more freedom and liberation.
So insightful. Before we keep going, have you ever felt those attachments in your own journey? And how have you dealt with them?
Oh, yeah, definitely. It's a constant process for all of us, I think. For me, it often happens when I get caught up in wanting to be seen as knowledgeable or helpful. And when I feel that pull, I try to step back. And remember, it's not about me. It's about the practice, the students, creating a space where everyone can connect to their own inner wisdom. That's a more freeing perspective.
That's a powerful reminder. I think
Yeah.
that's something we all need to hear. So we've talked about recognizing attachments and loosening their hold with things like non-identification and equanimity.
Yeah.
What other tools are out there to help us break free from these limiting beliefs?
Well, our sources actually suggest embracing uncertainty.
Oh.
It's like a powerful tool for letting go. You're letting go of that need to have every answer, to be in control of how things turn out. Instead, you're surrendering to the flow of life, trusting that things will work out naturally.
That's interesting. So instead of being stuck on what we think our teaching should be, we open ourselves up to new possibilities.
Exactly. And who knows, maybe that unexpected detour is actually leading you to an even better place. Sometimes the universe has plans, bigger plans than we could even imagine.
Like we're letting go of the reins
Yeah.
and trusting some higher wisdom to guide us.
Right.
But that can be kind of scary though, right?
It can be, yeah.
I mean, our society, it's all about certainty, control, having a clear plan.
It definitely can be. But it's in those moments. When you don't know, that's when the real magic happens. That's where creativity blossoms. That's where you find your intuition, where you discover strengths you didn't even know you had.
So it's about going beyond our comfort zone.
Yeah.
And being okay with not knowing. I like how one of the sources put it. It said, when you let go of needing a specific outcome, you open yourself up to infinite possibilities. It sounds like a paradox, but it makes sense.
It is a paradox, but it's like at the core of so many spiritual teachings, the idea that by letting go, we actually gain more. We gain freedom perspective, a deeper connection to ourselves and everything around us.
So we've been talking about these tools for releasing attachments, like the practice of non-identification, cultivating equanimity, embracing uncertainty. But how do we actually use these in our lives, in our
Sure.
relationships, even in our teaching?
It starts with mindfulness in each moment, like noticing when those feelings of attachment come up, that craving for validation, that need to be seen as the teacher, and then gently shifting your attention back to the present.
Remember that affirmation. Attachments are not who I am. They are fleeting moments to observe, accept, and release.
Yes, it's a practice, a constant process of becoming aware and choosing to let go.
So we're developing a new habit of noticing those clinging thoughts and reminding ourselves, this is not me. I'm not defined by this.
Exactly. And remember to be kind to yourself through all of this. Have compassion for yourself. It's about recognizing that we're human. We all make mistakes. We all get stuck in old patterns sometimes.
Right. Be patient with yourself.
Yeah.
And trust that you're doing the best you can. It's so easy to judge ourselves, especially when we're trying to grow spiritually. But it's really about approaching ourselves with that same love and acceptance that we would offer to a close friend.
Absolutely. And as you cultivate that space inside, that freedom from attachment, it starts to radiate outward. It touches the lives of everyone you meet. Like in the sutra, the ripples of your being extend beyond what the eye can see. In your presence, peace is found.
So beautiful. Our impact goes way beyond any role or title. It's the energy we bring to every moment, the quality of our presence.
Right.
So maybe by letting go of that need to be a meditation teacher,
Yeah.
we can actually connect more deeply, more authentically.
Exactly. There's that saying, the best teachers are often the quietest.
I like that. It's not about forcing your knowledge on others. It's about creating a space where they can find their own truth.
It sounds like we're shifting from teaching meditation to being meditation and letting that guide our interactions.
What does that actually look like, though?
It's about shifting your motivation from the ego, from needing to be seen as a teacher, to a place of just serving, letting the teachings flow naturally. From that state of presence,
Remember, teaching isn't the purpose itself, but it's an action that comes from a deeper place of being.
Exactly.
It's like surrendering in a way.
It is.
Letting go of the ego's need to control.
Yeah.
Allowing ourselves to be a part of something bigger.
It's a beautiful paradox. It's in that letting go, that surrender, that true wisdom can emerge.
So it's not about ignoring that call to teach. It's about refining it, purifying it. So it becomes an expression of our true selves, not our egos.
Right.
But what about this? If we let go of being a meditation teacher, does that mean we shouldn't teach at all?
Not at all. It's not about stopping teaching. It's about changing the why behind it. Instead of holding on to that teacher identity, you approach it as service, letting the teachings flow naturally from that state of presence.
So we're not getting rid of structure or form completely, but we're holding it lightly. Being open to spontaneity. Trusting that the wisdom will come through in the moment.
Yes, and I think that approach, that willingness to let go of control, it actually makes the learning experience better for everyone involved. Because when the teacher is genuine, present, not attached, it encourages the students to be the same way. It creates a space where real transformation can happen.
And it's like we're all in this together, figuring it out as we go. But instead of acting like we have all the answers, we're acknowledging that we're all on a journey. We can all learn and grow together.
That's it, and that's what's so freeing about it. It takes the pressure off, allows us to be human, to make mistakes, to learn and grow right alongside our students. It's about creating a space where we can all be vulnerable, be ourselves, where everyone feels safe to explore, to ask questions, to just be.
It makes you wonder, what if the best teaching moments don't come from words at all, but from just being present?
What a great question. What if those moments of silent connection, of shared vulnerability, of just being, what if that's where the deepest wisdom is shared?
It's like that quote we talked about, the ripples of your being extend beyond what the eye can see. We might never fully understand the impact we have on others, but by just being present, embodying peace, compassion, wisdom.
We're sending out these ripples of positive energy that can touch so many lives. And those ripples, they can create a ripple effect of peace, of presence, of liberation. It's like a chain reaction of awakening, spreading from one heart to another.
As we continue this deep dive, what are some practical tips we can offer listeners to help them use these insights in their own lives and their teaching?
It's a tricky balance, isn't it? Letting go of that teacher label while still holding space for others to learn and grow through meditation.
Yeah, it's like finding that sweet spot between guiding and just being.
Exactly. Think of it this way. You're hosting a meditation get-together, maybe in the past. You felt like you had to control every detail, make sure everyone was having like the perfect experience. But what if you approached it more like a potluck? You set the intention for connection mindfulness, provide the space some guidelines, but then you let everyone bring their own unique contributions.
I love that analogy. It takes the pressure off.
Right.
Trying to be the perfect host or the expert teacher. Everyone gets to participate in creating the experience together.
Exactly. So in teaching meditation, it might mean having some structure, but being open to changing things up depending on the energy of the group. You're meeting people where they are, honoring their individual paths.
So you're still using your knowledge and experience, but you're not attached to a specific result. You're trusting the process.
Right.
Trusting that wisdom will come through in the moment.
Exactly. And that trust, that willingness to let go of control is powerful. It creates space for authentic connection, transformation for both the students and the teacher.
Because in the end, it's not about being the perfect teacher. It's about being a fellow traveler. On this journey of self-discovery, we're all learning and growing together.
It takes the pressure off of having to know everything and lets us embrace the journey with all its ups and downs, knowing that even our mistakes can teach us something.
Yeah. Well, the source said it this way. The greatest teacher isn't the one with all the answers, but the one who's willing to ask the questions alongside their students.
That's beautiful. It's about creating that space where we can all be vulnerable, be human, a space where everyone feels safe to explore, to question, to just be.
And maybe in those moments of shared silence, of just being present together, we find a connection and wisdom that goes beyond words.
What if those greatest teachings aren't passed on through lectures or instructions, but through the energy of presence, that unspoken language of the heart?
Just a powerful thought. It reminds us that we have an impact beyond what we say or do. It's about who we're being in every moment.
And when we nurture that inner stillness, that freedom from attachment, that loving presence, it naturally flows outwards. It touches everyone around us, whether we're formally teaching or just living our lives.
Like those ripples we talked about, those subtle waves of energy that reach farther than we can see.
And those ripples can help create a more peaceful world, a more compassionate world, a more awakened world.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, what's the one thing you hope our listeners take away from this?
True liberation, both as a teacher and as a person, comes from letting go of the need to control, the need to be right, the need to be seen a certain way. It's about surrendering to the now, to the wisdom that's already inside us, letting that wisdom guide our actions, our words, our very being.
It's about trusting that when we let go, we find a peace, a freedom, a
We
connection,
never thought possible.
and that discovery
Mm.
is the greatest gift we can give to ourselves and to the world.
Thank you so much for being with us on this deep dive. I hope this sparked some new ideas for you, inspired you to keep exploring this path of liberation in your own practice and in how you interact with the world. Remember, you are a light, and your presence is a gift. Keep shining.
Thanks for joining us.